Hi, my name is Kenneth Barksdale. The piece that I'm submitting right now is addressed to Hillary Rodham Clinton, and it's also in response to the rash of unrest that the United States is now experiencing throughout the country regarding police brutality. Another portion of this is a book that I've been working on called Hidden Agenda: The Demise of the Black Male. It is a 15-year project that also runs across the lines of this. So I hope you can sit back and enjoy this. Thank you. Why people of color should dread another Clinton White House. Mrs. Hillary Rodham Clinton, I am a black male living in these United States of America, and I come before you as my forefathers did, a slave stripped of over 36 privileges due to the cloth of my felony convictions. Yet, there is one right I still possess, and that is my right to vote. Thus, I am filled with trepidation that you may very well become our nation's next president. Matter of factly, all people of color should reevaluate any consideration of casting their vote for you in 2016. My reasons are compelling enough in that when your husband, whom I met in 1992, ran for president, portrayed himself as the great emancipator, the last beacon of hope to a group of citizens whose thirst was to finally drink from the well of equality. Of course, their opportunities were dashed with disillusionment. So, what does all this have to do with you? In 1996, during the Democratic National Convention held in Chicago, you poignantly proclaimed that it takes a village to raise a child. Yet, while sounding the trumpet about villages raising a child, you sat idly by while your husband and members of the 103rd Congress signed into law one of the most draconian pieces of legislation that effectively decimated the very villages you proclaimed to champion. That measure was the Violent Crime and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. This crime bill, consisting of 356 pages of the most esoteric and codified statutes ever presented to a body politic to date, has thrust entire communities into what can only be depicted as modern-day slave plantations, has created an atmosphere that people of color are now experiencing in cities across our nation, where every day our citizens are witness to a juggernaut of police brutality aimed at a particular group. This bill, issued during the Clinton administration, has systematically implemented safeguards that has allowed paramilitary-style policing, similar to what shocked U.S. citizens in Ferguson, Missouri, by limiting the Posse Comitatus Act, a measure designed to prohibit the use of military tactics that were implemented in Ferguson, has unleashed legalized gangs dressed in blue, operating with complete impunity for their nefarious acts, has exacerbated a prison population that target people of color for menial crimes not seen since the day of post-antebellum, has continued to promote a drug policy that is shown to be astronomically a complete failure, turning a social decadence into a criminal act. The ills resulting from your husband's crime bill has far-reaching consequences that is now beginning to manifest themselves in the form of states filing for bankruptcy brought by an exploding prison population. Myself and a group of others in 2011 sought relief in the United States District Court for the same issues that were cited above. Our complaint and the government response I now hold in my hands. Mrs. Clinton, this is personal to me because I witnessed the ills of your husband's crime bill. But because of what happened to my nephew here in this footage, He was found lying in this state less than 48 hours after his arrest by Rochester Police Department. His death is now being investigated. You see, Mrs. Clinton, I don't believe you have the gumption nor the audacity to repeal your husband's draconian bill if elected. A measure that has now enslaved generations of people under the guise of crime control. It is my strong belief that having you reside in the Oval Office is equivalent to having Jeb Bush as our next commander-in-chief. Mrs. Clinton, it is not only you who have become increasingly remiss from the common folk, regardless of skin color, but all Washington insiders are totally oblivious to the elements that affect the U.S. citizenry. Our elected officials are merely marionettes with plutocracy pulling their strings. So, the question remains, who do we look for true reform? Certainly not you, nor anyone in our nation's capital.